You got a raise 6 months ago. 20%. You remember the email. You remember the number. You checked your savings last week. They are lower than before the raise. Not because of one big mistake. Not because of an emergency. The money moved. Quietly. Through doors you opened yourself. That raise did not disappear. It became your new normal before you decided what normal should cost. Here's what happened. The raise landed in your checking account. The same account that pays rent, groceries, and every subscription you forgot to cancel. Nothing changed about where the money went. Only how much arrived. And within weeks, small upgrades started. A better apartment. Not extravagant, just one with in-unit laundry. A delivery service that used to be a Friday treat became a Tuesday default. A gym membership that replaced the free one at work. Each one made sense on its own. Each one felt earned. But here's the part no one warns you about. A one-time upgrade becomes a monthly baseline. And a monthly baseline becomes invisible. 3 months later, that nicer apartment is just your apartment. The delivery is just dinner. The gym is just where you go. The comfort did not feel like spending. It felt like arriving. This is the mechanism. Researchers call it hedonic adaptation, the tendency to normalize changed circumstances. A comfort upgrade feels meaningful at first, then becomes ordinary, and the old level starts to feel like a loss. The size of this effect varies, but the direction is consistent. What once felt like a reward quietly becomes the floor. And here's what makes it sticky. Every one of those upgrades renewed automatically. The lease renewed. The delivery app saved your card. The gym charged monthly. You never sat down and said yes to them again. You just never said no. The default path after a raise is not saving. It is continuing. The raise arrives in the same account that pays for everything, and a spending path requires no new decision. Saving requires a separate account, a rule, an enrollment action. The expensive choice is automatic. The smart choice is manual. Stop. That is the trap. Not the spending itself, the asymmetry. Spending is the path of least resistance. Saving is the path that requires you to act. Now picture two people at the same company. Both get the same raise. One upgrades the apartment, the car payment, and the phone plan within the first month. The other picks one upgrade, the apartment, and sets up an automatic transfer to move part of the raise into a separate account before the first new paycheck arrives. 6 months later, the first person genuinely cannot tell you where the raise went. The second one can, because part of it never reached the spending account at all. This is not about discipline. A study by Thaler and Benartzi tested exactly this. Employees who committed in advance to direct portions of future raises toward retirement, saving, changed their behavior. Not because they tried harder, but because the decision happened before the money became spendable. The trick was not willpower. It was timing. And that points to something uncomfortable. The person you were before the raise had fewer commitments, not necessarily less comfort. You might look at an old paycheck and think, how did I survive on that? But you did. You had a smaller apartment, fewer subscriptions, and a cheaper routine. You were not suffering. You were just operating on a lower baseline. The raise did not buy you a better life. It bought you a higher floor. And a higher floor is expensive to maintain. So what changes? Not your motivation. Your default. Before a raise hits your account, decide where part of it goes. Not after. Before. One intentional upgrade. One automatic transfer. The rest stays uncommitted until after the first full paycheck cycle, so you can feel the difference before the new baseline locks in. Give every recurring upgrade a review date. Not when you're frustrated, but when you are calm enough to compare it against what it replaced. If cutting it feels like a loss, even though you once lived perfectly well without it, that is not proof you need it. That is adaptation doing its job. The raise was real. The comfort was real. The problem was not the spending. The problem was the default. The system you repeat becomes the life you afford. Next time, why small purchases feel completely harmless until they don't.